Chapter 8. Leah's weekdays fell into a routine. She worked hard alongside Kathy, she returned to her apartment, and crashed. She lived for the weekends. Leah had lived in Napanee over a month when Ethan brought Charity to Leah's apartment. He promptly left so that the girls could visit with one another. "Leah, this is lovely," Charity exclaimed as she walked from room to room. "So fancy." "I'm glad you like it." Leah had seen Charity's room, one she shared with Rebecca. It looked plain, almost austere, with no rugs or curtains. It contained only a double bed and a dresser. The bed was covered with a handmade quilt, a gift from Oma. Charity had explained. Perched on the bed was Rose, Rebecca's Amish doll, dressed in Amish clothing. The dress held a hurricane lamp and a pitcher and basin used for washing up. There were no pictures for mirrors on the walls. The closet held 6 solid colored cotton dresses for each of them. Wall hooks held long aprons and extra caps. Charity had explained that her winter dresses were packed away in a trunk along with her winter cape. A single cross-stitched sampler of scripture verse lay on a wooden rocker by the window. Seeing Charity next to Leah's TV set, stereo, modern appliances, and fixtures caused the gap between their lifestyles to stand out more than ever for Leah. By now Leah was so used to Ethan's dressing English style, for he never came to see her unless he was wearing his modern clothes, that Charity looked oddly archaic. "Sit, have a soda," Leah said. Charity perched on the couch and picked up the small pillow she had embroidered and given to Leah the Christmas before. "You have kept this? It's one of my favorite presents." Leah took the pillow and ran her fingers over the finely stitched letters of her name. "Of course it's nothing compared to Rebecca's chicken." Charity laughed. "Leah, you're so funny." "Do you want to watch TV or something?" Leah wasn't sure how eager Charity was to sample the world. She didn't want to offer her something she didn't feel comfortable doing. "I don't think so," Charity said, eyeing the TV's black screen. "I thought it would be fun to bake bread and cookies. You told me you wanted to do this sometime. This could turn into a real adventure." Charity took inventory of Leah's staples and made a list, and together they went to the grocery store. With Charity in her car, her prayer cap tied securely around her chin so that the wind wouldn't blow it off, Leah was again struck by their differences. She couldn't imagine not being able to drive to go wherever she pleased, whenever she wanted. They bought supplies, returned to the apartment, and went right to work. First they started the bread, because it must rise, Charity explained. Leah watched Charity sprinkle yeast into warm water, and after measuring out a few cups of flour, she eventually ended up with a soft mound of dough. Once it had risen to twice its size, Charity placed the lump on a flour countertop and began to knead it. Watching Charity's quick, sure motions made Leah feel like a klutz. "Now you try it." Charity turned the project over to Leah. Leah jabbed at the lump. "It feels icky." "You must work harder. It is dough, not glass." Leah pounded the lump and flour puffed into her face and hair. Charity burst into laughter. "You look like a snowman." Leah giggled too. She folded the dough over and threw herself into kneading it. As she worked on the bread dough, Charity started making chocolate chip cookies. "Can I ask you something?" Leah said. "I know it's none of my business, but do you like Jonah?" Charity stopped mixing the cookie dough. "I have ridden home from Sunday singing in his buggy many times." "How about in his car?" Color flooded Charity's face. "Do not tell anyone, please." Taken aback by Charity's reaction, Leah said, "I won't. But what's the big deal? Buggy, car, it's still the same thing. You like Jonah?" "The buggy is acceptable. The car is not." "You rode in my car." "Cars are not approved by Papa, but it's better with you than with Jonah." "He's never, tried anything with you, has he?" Charity turned wide, innocent eyes on Leah. "Do you mean, does he get fresh?" "I guess that's what I mean. Jonah respects me. He should not shame me." "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to embarrass you. It's just that he's acting English and you're still being Amish, so there's a gap between the two of you. I can tell he likes you, but I wondered how you felt, and I know how guys can be. I just don't want to see him take advantage of you." Leah didn't add that she didn't trust him. I have not had many experience with boys, Leah, but Jonah is the boy I care for the most. We meet, but very carefully because my Papa doesn't approve. Once Jonah is finished with this fling and returns to Amish life, then Papa will have no problem with our dating." "When do you see him?" "He comes to my house late at night when all are asleep. He shines a flashlight on my window. I make certain not to disturb Rebecca, and I go downstairs and meet with him. In the winter we stay in the kitchen, in the summer on the porch." Leah stared open-mouthed, unable to imagine sweet dear Charity sneaking around behind her parents' backs. It seemed so out of character. "Then you have been seeing him for a long time?" "Oh, over a year." "Wow, Charity, I had no idea. We're special to each other, but it is a secret because we don't want to be teased, and because he is not ready yet to join the church." "Are you telling me that he's the guy you want to marry?" Charity squared her chin. I am 16 now, and I want very much to be married. I want to have my own house like my sister Sarah. Jonah is a good choice. Once he is baptized, he will ask Papa if he can marry me. I had no idea things were that serious between you two. Leah vowed to be nicer to Jonah. Is this going to happen any time soon? Charity laughed. It may be years before I marry. You must promise to come to my wedding. I'll try. Leah thought about her own future, where she was headed and what might be in store for her. Marriage seemed a scary choice. Until now, it hadn't worked for her mother. Leah certainly didn't want 5 passes at it to get it right for herself. Charity broke into Leah's thoughts. Let the bread rise again and help me with the cookies. The bread looked thoroughly beaten, so Leah wrestled the globby mass into a couple of bread pans and covered it with a cloth as Charity directed. They set it aside again, scooped spoonfuls of the cookie dough on cookie sheets, and set the sheets in the oven. Soon the apartment was filled with the aroma of buttery chocolate. When it was time to bake the bread, Leah removed the cloth. Yikes! Look how fat it's gotten. Is it safe? It is perfect. You are a good baker, Leah. Leah's only memory of baking was from when she was a small child. She and her grandmother Hall had baked and decorated cookies one rainy afternoon. The bread was tucked into the oven, and the two of them had collapsed onto the sofa to chow down on the cookies and milk when Ethan returned. Smells good, he said, glancing from one to the other. Want one? Plates on the counter, Leah pointed. He stood looking at the mound of dirty bowls, utensils, and cookie sheets, and at the sticky, floury countertops. He stared hard at both the girls. It looks like an explosion has happened. Were you hurt, Leah? Leah stood, glanced into a mirror, and gasped. Flowers streaked her clothing and hair. It was even stuck to her eyelashes. Chocolate sponged her nose. Charity looked neat and clean, without a speck of flour on her skin or dress. The three of them looked at each other. They began to giggle, then to laugh. I look like I took a flower shower, Leah managed to say, which started them laughing all over again. Ethan grabbed a sponge. I will help, he said. He gently lifted Leah's chin and swiped the cool, damp sponge down her cheeks, along her chin and forehead, and then softly across her lips. Her laughter quieted as she gazed up at him. His expression was intense, his touch feathers soft. Light from a window across the room slanted through the curtains, casting him in bronze, his hair in gold. Her mouth went suddenly dry. Her pulse pounded in her ears. Every nerve ending in her body tingled. She was only vaguely aware when Charity slipped out of the room. Thank you for the cleanup, Leah told him. He dropped the sponge and cradled her face between his palms. You are welcome, Leah, he answered. Believe me, it is my pleasure. She rose on her tiptoes to accept a kiss from his warm, fully honey-colored mouth. Leah kept postcards from her mother and Neil stuck to her refrigerator with colorful magnets. One had been mailed from the Los Angeles airport, several from Hawaii. Each held detailed descriptions of their vacation. The latest one read, Dear Leah, I wish you could see these islands. I never dreamed there could be so many flowers growing in the wild. Why, there's a garden right outside our bungalow door. By the time you get this, you will have been on the boat for 3 days. I hope I don't embarrass Neil and throw up. I've been seasick before, and it's no picnic. But I'm so happy. I know your doctor appointment is coming up soon, so I'll be checking with you about it. I hope you are well and having a wonderful summer. I love you, Leah. I don't think I ever told you that enough when you were growing up. Forgive my lapse. Love, your mother. Added was a postscript from Neil sending his love too. In the same batch of mail, a letter arrived from Dr. Thomas, her orthopedic oncologist in Indianapolis, telling her that her appointment for testing and a checkup had been scheduled for the following Thursday. The next day after work, Leah drove out to the farm. She went directly to the barn where she thought Ethan might be working. She found him repairing tools. What is it? He asked when he saw her. She told him about the upcoming appointment. Did you mean what you said about coming with me? I will come. Just then, Mr. Longacre came into the barn. He stopped short when he saw Leah talking to Ethan. Good day, he greeted her without smiling. I was just leaving, Leah said self-consciously. No matter how many times she saw Ethan's father, she never grew accustomed to him. The man was not rude to her, but she felt his disapproval whenever she came around. She hurried out of the barn, pausing to catch her breath and slow her rapid heartbeat. Then she heard Ethan and his father talking in German. She couldn't understand the words, but their exchange was loud and sounded angry. It ended with the noise of a slammed door. My fault, Leah told herself. She hurried to her car before anyone could catch her eavesdropping and sped away.